Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Good morning, and we're going through real-time analysis here. Due to this every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. And then we have Jay Trader, a stocks trader, on Wednesday at 10 a.m. and Scott Pulsini, a futures trader, on Thursday at 10 a.m. We have a whole schedule, though, of traders all day long. Typically, Tom B, he'll be on next, but not today. He's away today for the Easter holiday. He'll be back tomorrow. That starts at right after this webinar at 11:30 East Coast time, a.m. And then right after that, we have Doug, Options with Doug. And he'll go through his options trading for stocks and also futures. And then we have the Algo boys after that. And they will go through 2:30 to 4 and what the levels that they're looking at in the order flow. All right, so some great streams all day long. Let's jump into the market here after the disclosure. The risk disclosure or general disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in. Let's take a look at what's happening in these markets here. You can see the S&P E-mini. We can look at whatever markets you guys like, but you can see that we've been selling off up here earlier this morning around 41.35 down to just 4,100, so a 35-point drop down into the figure. And you can see everything changes here around 9:30 with the liquidity really pumps up. And so does the volume. You can see it in the dots as well as the bars down here. So what do we see in the order flow currently right now? Well, not a whole lot, to be honest. It is above 4,100. That's good. And we see buyers and sellers. It's just kind of all over the place in a big kind of 8-point range here between 08 and 4,100. So a bit of buyers coming in right now. Maybe they can pop it up to 10, a top edge here, and this liquidity here would be the target here. All right, so we'll see if they can we can get enough traders in here. It is bullish that they are bidding here and they're bidding up here at 2.5, so that's good. Let's see if they can bid up a little bit further up in this area here around 06.5. Then we might get a move up into 10. All right, so anyway, that's what we currently see here in the market. And let's jump into the higher time frame here. Let's see, they're starting to bid up a little bit here, so I think we'll just looking for a small move here, not much, just this move up into this 10 liquidity here. I can see them in the order book underneath here, this kind of palish blue in here, but they are bidding up. All right, so let's see if we can get enough buyers in here to try to hit into this liquidity. All right, let's jump back and look at our bigger picture here. That's always so important. So we're going to look at candlesticks here. The daily is on the left hand side, the hourly in the center, and then the 15-minute here on the right. All right, so what exactly are we looking at here? All right, so in fact, why isn't this not showing anything? Hold on, there it is. Okay, there's our price action. All right, so yeah, you can see the gap down from Friday on the hourly as well as the 15-minute. The daily here, well, big range, as you can see, testing the bottom wicks here from last week, and then getting a little bit of a bounce right now. Not much, but a little bit. And that's about it. All right, so bigger picture in here, kind of hard to say. We were looking for the move up into this area and these wicks up in here. We did see that. And then we're kind of looking for the wicks down in this area here, around this kind of 40.80 area here in this S&P. Haven't gotten there yet, so that's kind of bullish, but you can see that today we have kind of a down day. Let's see if we can break this kind of 96 area here, or 4100 basically, and maybe trade down to that 80 level. All right, so anyway, let's look at the hourly here, and you can see that these bottom edges here from last week, well, that's where we're starting to find some buyers, and we have a big gap here. Right, so we're going to kind of gap and go and down and maybe fill this older gap down here. That's 40.80 right there, or even here 86 or so, not a bad area, or even 60 down here, not a bad area. Those are some pretty big moves, but yeah, and today is kind of a holiday still for a lot of traders, so don't know if we're going to get any big moves here today. But yeah, watching this kind of top edge here at this kind of 10 area that we were just talking about, and if we can get enough volume up in here, we can start to fill back into this area, okay, in this gap. All right, so let's take a look at this 15-minute chart here, and just look at, boy, can we look at just maybe a few days here? Not really. Custom look back. Okay. All right, that didn't do anything. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get something out of this right now. You can see that we're looking for that move up into 10. We just about got it, and you can see a little bit of selling off already. So did it trade 10? No, 10 did not trade. It was just one tick short of it, and not a whole lot of volume up there either. All right, so that's kind of what we're seeing here at the moment. Let me jump over to Discord. Any questions? Also in YouTube, any questions today? You guys can hear me over in YouTube, right? I think so. Yeah. And over here in Discord, Keeson, good morning. And slow down, good morning. So yeah, you know what? This might be a good day. I've been meaning to do this the last several sessions. I've been busy kind of away working on this course for you guys, so we'll be presenting that soon to you, but I've been meaning to show candlesticks and reading candlesticks in here, so this might be a good day to do it. So we'll pop some candlesticks on the chart here in Bookmap and take a look. Now we're looking at a 15-minute candlestick here, candlestick chart. Now what we want to look at in here and understand is candlestick patterns and reading them, but we want to understand the volume and the limit order book within them. What was the activity in here? So in between this 15-minute period here, this is actually looking pretty good for a breakout. Okay, in my mind, this looks good. So if I'm a candlestick trader, I'm looking for higher highs here. I'm looking for them to trade through 10 and on up. Maybe back up to, well, first this little swing here, which is around not much, it's around 11, but then this swing up here maybe around 18. All right, I would be looking for that in my candlestick patterns here. Why? Well, here's one test, here's the second test, and we're back up here, and look at this buy volume up here. Good morning, Rob. All right, so does that make sense to you guys? As a candlestick trader, this pattern, I am looking for it to continue on further. All right, now let's just take a look at this here and go through why. All right, so we're going to take everything off the chart for now. Okay, we're just going to look at our candlestick. I'll talk about these little lines on here in just a minute here, which I think you guys will find very, very useful. But here's our candlestick pattern. right? And then how would you ever know based off of this here if this is going to go up or not? You just wouldn't. I wouldn't. I certainly would not know that. I would not give direction here based off of what I see here, that this may go higher. All right, and in fact, I'm looking, we can mix this candlestick a bit with volume profile. Look how it auctioned in these areas up in here. Boy, there's not a whole lot, right? It dropped pretty quickly through there. So I'm looking for it to auction back up. 18 would be a good level for it to trade. Let's mark it up. Okay, so right around here. Is that 18? Something like that. Yeah, 18, 18 and a half, something like that. Okay. All right, so now this is what we want to kind of understand here. Well, look at the candles. Let's go over candlestick patterns. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Peter. EM, you can hear me. All right, excellent. Yeah, a red dot on the volume on the move up. I'll talk about that, Clinton. That happens a lot, and it's just order flow. We can talk about it, especially in stocks. You can really see that a lot more in stocks. But how price can go up on sell volume. All right, so we'll talk about it. Good morning, Tony. All right, and let's see here, Joe. Last 4 weeks or so, seeing these 2 to 4 point drops. Yeah, I know. This is something I wanted to talk with Jack about. Over in the Discord room, we kind of discussed a little bit about it. He was talking about imbalances, and then price action after the imbalance, right? And there's different ways I kind of described it in there, but to try to understand kind of what it is, and then I talked more about kind of gap fills and imbalances than I did about this certain kind of like jab down of like 2 to 4 points that kind of cleans everybody out. It's a little different, Joe. I think it's just there's a lot of yeah, we'll take a look. You saw an example on a stock. Okay, yeah, we can take a look here. It looks like let's add that stock in. Okay. Is that it? BUUE. Oh, out of the blue. Okay, never mind. I'm looking at it was just a typo. Okay, all right, never mind. All right, yeah, we'll take a look. We'll kind of circle back to that, Joe. Let's see what's going on here now. Now you can see this is kind of, it's coming back and retesting here. Now it might be a false breakout, right, on this candle. In fact, for a candlestick chart, this now, previously we said, well, I don't really like it as a candlestick chart, and we're not really looking for it to break out as a candlestick chart. We'd be looking for this kind of wick up here and to maybe trade back into the range here, which is kind of what it's doing. But we just don't have the details in here, and that's what we want to look at and understand. So let's see if we get maybe a little bit of a bounce off of right here. See these little T's, this upside down T and this T right here? These are actually the VWAPs of this candle. Okay, the green one is the buy VWAP and the red one is the sell VWAP. If you come up here to candlesticks in your settings, you can display that on the bid and the ask, the VWAP, or you can display total. Let's just show total here, and I'll just go with a line. Okay, so this shows both buy and just the VWAP in general. Most volume within this period between here and here, but traded right here. Okay, so this is a pullback to that VWAP basically. Now we got to see what happens here, right? Are we going to get our buyers coming right back in? I would assume so. I would assume so, just because we saw so much buying earlier up in this area here. All right, so I would look for buyers to try to take it back up here. Now, we haven't looked at, we're flying blind here in the candlestick patterns because we just don't know. We don't know where the volume's trading. We don't know how much. We have it here in the sub chart, but that's about it. We also don't know the condition of the order book in here. All right, so we're going to break open these candles and be able to see all of this now. The first context is going to be with the volume, okay, and we'll start to understand it here. All right, so previously we were looking around here, and we're looking for it to break out up into our 10 level. Here's why. We'll look at this buy volume cluster up here. I would look for it to continue on up into here, maybe the VWAP of this candle up here, right? We got up to about this price level here, 41.11. Okay, well, 41.11 up here seems to be the swing. Yep, right here. All right, so, and that was actually what we kind of looked for as our first stop. Not much of a move, but you know, a breakout nonetheless up into 11. And then the next one was our 18.5 level up here. Okay, so that's it. Let's take a look back. So yeah, it traded up to here, and then it's faded back into the range now. All right, so let's take a deeper look now into the candlesticks. All right, so I really liked the volume up in here because this is something I talked to Slowdown about, understanding the kind of back and forth in here. You might be you know, what's the name of the trader, you know, like 100 years ago, oh, with your markup and your markdown and your you know, oh god, it's Monday, guys, sorry. But looking at your back and forth in here, distribution and accumulation areas, and starting to understand, and this relates back to what Jack was talking about in terms of imbalances as well. Wyckoff, there we go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. So we want to understand like imbalances potentially in this range as well. Okay, who's on sides, who's off sides, and can we kind of gain something from that, and can we see like for higher probability for a breakout and continuation on up? Okay, and understanding this, and this, you know, we can relate it to many different things in here. You can talk about ABC patterns in here. You can talk about distribution, accumulation, etc. You can talk about your volume profile in terms of like, what does that profile look like? Okay, what about your top edge here? Do you see like a weak top, meaning lots of trading, lots of volume trading up there, especially buy volume, for it to break away from that area and explore higher price levels here? Okay, so that's what we're trying to take a look at here within the volume, and then applying that to these periods in here with the candles. So what does it actually mean? What does this candle mean in here? Because to be honest, I think it's rather meaningless unless we have insight to the volume and the order book. So let's add the heat map now too. Okay, and let's take a look. Okay, so here we got a pullback to this little VWAP here on that last 15-minute chart, and it's trading and testing into, and you can see in the order book here, pretty high liquidity here at 0.5. Okay, all right, so let's see if we can get buyers now, and they're staying in the order book. They are transacting. We just don't see sellers hitting into them. So they're not really willing to trade to the other side, trade into that liquidity here. Okay, let's add our best bid and offer. All right, so let's see. We're going to go through a couple different scenarios now. And the scenarios will give us insight if this is going to hold or it's going to break, okay, based on our candlesticks in here. All right, so if we get enough buy volume up here, then I would imagine the next stop is going to be back up into the top of this cash session here, right? Yeah. If we don't, and we're getting that scenario right now, we're trading into this liquidity here now. The sellers are taking them on, transactions occurring. Okay, so we can see a big stop run here. All right, so now the transaction occurred in here. Good. That gives us a lot of insight here. Is there still more selling pressure? Yes. Okay, so most likely then, if sellers can continue, now we need to take a look at this though. We'll go through the opposite scenario in just a second. If the sellers continue, then we're looking for the move back down into lower liquidity, most likely down at 4,100. Okay. Now the scenario, the trap that we're going to talk about here is below this range here. Okay, and this sell volume here. If we can get buyers in here again, right in here, right now in current price action, very likely we'll trade to the other side of the range at this kind of 07.5. Okay, and these guys here that sold this, this is a stop run here, and we can also see some iceberg buying. So if we can get back up into here and trade back into the range, likely it would look for the other side of the range. Okay, now we're not seeing that. Okay, we're still seeing more sell pressure here. So we came up here, we don't see them, and we put a rectangle around it, and that little bit of buying here is all we saw. Okay, so likely the move is still down here to 4,100. All right, so let's take a look at our candle here. All right, so our candles, we see some wicks down here. Okay, and we see the bottom of the wicks here down just below 4,100. Okay, but liquidity's here at 4,100, and they're coming into the order book here a little bit higher. Okay, so down here we know, well, this, it's funny, we see the wick, but the buying pressure is right here in the dots, and the wick is rather meaningless in this example here. Okay, it's really, you know, what we want to look at is the buy volume in here. Okay, and where is that taking place? And we do see something in here that's kind of interesting that kind of coincides with the wick, and that is this little area in here, and then the buyers breaking out from this little area in here. Okay, so it kind of coincides with the wick, but it is meaningless basically. You know, we can see a test back down into this area here as well by these sellers here. All right, so anyway, yeah, that's where these buyers really kind of came in and started to move this market higher. All right, and then in terms right now of candlestick patterns and what we're reading, I don't see anything here. We're just in the middle of the range. All right. Yeah, it does look kind of random in here. M. No, these are 15-minute candles here. We can make it 1 minute if you guys want, and you know, go over order flow on a very small time frame. I thought we'd just start off with the 15-minute. Yeah, this is kind of an odd move in here. I really don't see anything in here to kind of try to find buyers in here. The only thing is this trap, and then maybe like one more kind of level here and try to get them upended and have this be a short squeeze to the upside to our top edge here. Candlestick pattern wise, there's nothing going on here. We can make them smaller and take a look, see if we can kind of, we don't want to kind of squint at things though and you know, make stuff up here. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, like, look at this wick up here, right? This wick here. There's a lot of buying up there. This is what we were talking about before as a top edge. There's a lot of buying up here. That's what made up this wick. Now the scenario would be like if we get more buyers back up here again, then we're coming up to 11. If we get our sellers here, then these buyers are the ones that are going to be the sellers down below. So we'd be looking for these buyers here to be the sellers on the way back down. Yeah, we do have data later in the week, and we had non-farm when the markets were closed, basically. All right, let's see if we can get these sellers down below here. See, look at, there's some exhaustion here. Okay, which means that there's no buyers on these tests up into this area right here. There's some buying in here. Okay, we can see it here, but not here. Look at the sellers here. Okay, this is, again, this is a fractal of a range bound trade here. But if there's no buyers in here and you see sellers here in this area here, they're going to take it down to the middle or the bottom of the range here. Okay, and test it. Okay, so now let's see if we can get, again, a lack of buyers. We don't see many here. We're looking for sellers down here at this 06.5, and we don't see any sellers here, right? So just back and forth again. Okay, now we are getting buyers up here. Okay, so this is what we talk about, like that that edge. You get buyers up in here, you can get that price discovery. And yeah, it's looking pretty good here. This buying is pretty good. Okay, so if it's good, then they should be able to reach back up into these areas here where it dropped from. Let's see. This is not high probability stuff, guys. We're just going through the order flow though, and just reading it here. Okay, trying to understand like where traders are aligned in or where their positions are within these ranges here. Yeah, I'm really not big on moving averages. So I don't know who's looking at what kind of moving average. Typically I stay away from that, and fib levels as well. I don't know who's looking at what fib levels. I do like point of control, and I do like I'm just, these are my opinion. Okay, I know that you might have your own studies based off of these things, which is great. JTrader does, for example. But point of control is down here, at this kind of 05, and then we have also VWAP in here we can look at, which is we're above it here, just around the 7. All right, so I do like these levels because it's just one line that traders can react to. Let me go to configure this. All right, there we go. I don't know why this VWAP looks kind of funky. Oops. Okay, here we are back up to 11. All right, and we're back to our and this is a lot of buying, so now looking for these buyers here to explore it, take it further. Okay, I like this 18 level as before. Okay, they're bidding up here at 10. It was liquidity here, now they're in the book here. That's good. My VWAP is okay. Hold on a minute here, I know it's wrong. Just get rid of that. All right, so starting to look, I got too many candles on here. Let's take the candles off for a moment here. Let's clear our drawings as well. All right, so now, you know, here's an idea. Shadow is talking about, or I'm sorry, M is talking about bouncing off his 8 moving average. Okay, that's great. You've done your back studies on your moving average, and this is something that you look at on the daily. Then excellent. And you have something quantifiable data there that shows an edge. So the what we want, what are we looking though for? What in the order flow in here? What would we be looking for away from the point of control in VWAP here? Okay, for price to move. In this example, it would be moving upwards. Any ideas? Aggressive buy volume, precisely. So, and you know, are we getting something really high probability right now? Now it might do it, okay, but we just don't see it. You know, here's the concept in the idea of some of auction market theory, is that this is value down here, 07, 05. This is price is, there's a lot that traded down here. The most traded, this is pretty, you know, it's pretty even distribution here, you know, across this whole like 10 point or 12 point range. But for price to move away from a value area, you've got to see pretty high volume. For it to, something has changed. The sentiment of traders, or maybe it's the news, or you know, maybe it's people that are getting squeezed. It doesn't matter. It needs volume to move away from an average area. Okay, so that's what we'd be looking for. And if you don't see it, well, then it's just not as high probability. Okay, so look at the size, and Bookmap does a good job here with the graphical representation of the volume dots. Okay, so we can look at the size and color of the dots and get an understanding of that It's the relationship here, this context between the dots like here or the dots over in here. Buy volume looks better over here. It's strong, it's consistent, it looks pretty good. This doesn't look as good. It's not quite as high, and it's a pretty sharp move, and then we see this pullback here, and we see some selling coming in here, right? So we're not really too keen on this going to 18 at this point. Okay? It doesn't look like it's really ready to trade up there. Okay, so I lost my line at 18. Put it back. Okay, so therefore we're kind of looking for some back and forth in here. You'll see when it becomes very, very clear that there will be more buyers that come in than sellers, or more sellers than buyers, and they overwhelm the other side. And we're looking for them to move it away from an area. Okay? Now this works on all time frames, and this is pretty typical. Okay? It doesn't always work like that, but more often than not, that's what it takes to move price away from an area where it was comfortable before. Okay, so and that's what we'd be looking at here. So now look at this here. We have high liquidity in here, sellers. Buyers just took them on here, and we know they transacted. Look at that big green dot into that high liquidity here. So we know that they transacted. Is there still buying pressure above it? A little bit, not a whole lot though. And then now look at the sellers on the other side here. So the transaction occurred. It would have been better not to see any buying up here. Just because there's some buying up here means it auctioned here. If we can get more there, it can go higher. Okay, and we'll go to the next area of liquidity or some of the transactions here. So here, it's already there, or the next one would be here. All right. So again, this is a little bit hard to read in here. We found the buyers, and they traded up here a bit, but then that was it. And then we found sellers bring it right back down. Once we come back up here again and you start to see buying again, that's when we're looking for it to travel higher. All right, so look for this again and again and again. So now we're breaking up into 12. Okay, and now let's zoom out and take a look at this buy volume here. How does it look in reference to some of these other areas? This looks better, right? I see bigger buy volume at these higher highs here. That's good. Okay, so we're going to get pullbacks in here, but I'm looking for 14. I'm looking for 15 at this point. Where's the liquidity? Well, there's liquidity here at 14. Okay, they're staying in the book. And what about on the bid here? Well, they're underneath here as well. That's good. Do we still get buyers here? Do we still see green dots? Then we're looking for it to travel higher here. And let's zoom in here. Okay, there's sellers down here. That's not good. Okay, we want to see a lack of sellers here. And then this is a larger player just did that. Now this is hard we've seen this last week as well. We never know when this is going to happen. And a larger player just came in and sold hard. And we're going to see stop run down at the very bottom here, and we do. Now it's not a whole lot of stops here. It's not much at all. It's like 50 or so. But yeah, a larger player just came in and just moved that market lower. All right, now, so what looked to be pretty good in here is just totally disrupted now by this larger player. Okay, so we're kind of back to square one. Okay, and we're back in the middle of the range here. Now, an interesting thing, this is I had a discussion last week in Discord a bit about this kind of move in here, and what composes this kind of move in here. Well, it's just a larger player who has some size and just hits market sell basically, and moves price lower. Because of that move, if there are no more sellers, likely a lot of times you'll get it, price kind of creep back up to where this selling initiated here, and that would be like a gap fill. Okay, so a lot of times when you see that kind of activity and you don't see selling continue in here, we look for price to kind of come back up into these areas here. And now this would probably be the area here, somewhere around here, around 12, I think. And we see liquidity here at 11.5. All right, so again, this is kind of a market dynamic or order flow phenomena that it happens all the time. Okay? It's kind of wicked in this sense here, but these are like gaps. Okay, and if we don't see more sellers come back in, then we're looking for this as being kind of a new trading range here. Okay, price will just kind of go back and forth within this area here. Now, what we saw last week was pretty wicked. We saw the stops and icebergs. We saw the stop run, and then they're on the other side here with icebergs. Okay, you can see actually them buying some ice down here, it looks like. There's 839, then they canceled here. And then there's 246 that bought down here. Yeah, this is a market sell order. It has to be. Yeah, there's nothing else in here. There's no liquidity, or and they were able to move price. So basically, the larger player in here has enough money to trade and sweep the order book. Okay, so here there's like 43 orders here. Well, they're going to sweep through that, and then there's 129 here, and they swept through that. So we can see the sweep here, right? So here you can add them all up. In fact, here's 100, here's 130, let's say, plus another 20. That's 150 plus, let's say, another 50. So that's 200. Okay, and there's more. They had more. They had quite a bit of power, selling power in here. Okay, and then we can see though that these 74 down here are not them. Those are stops. And this is what happens when you put your order in here within this 2-point range, 2.5-point range or so. It can be anywhere in here, and you'll get filled down here after his order or their order fills first. Okay, their market sell fills first. Any other orders that were in here, like a stop that was triggered, is going to get filled down here next. Okay, and then in fact we do see this kind of wicked move of icebergs on the other side here, right on the other side here, getting filled. Okay, right there's that 839, and that's just, it's this is the game we're in, and this is trading, right? So they're selling still, and they got filled here. Okay, so we were looking for the kind of fill the gap more or less, right, back up into this area here, right? And we kind of made this trading range here, and it did trade back and forth in it. It went up as high as here though, only 11. It didn't come up to 12. Okay, and now we see that there's a bit more selling pressure, and they're able to take it a little bit lower here. Okay. So And anyway, what we're talking about in here is we're looking at the order flow and understanding these elements in here to gain further insight to what price might do next. Okay, understanding the specific players in here, for example, okay, with the icebergs, stop run to the upside, and then also stop run to the downside, and also icebergs coming in. All right, so what does that mean for us? Well, we're kind of back in the range here. Bigger picture, we're just back in the range. Whereas this move was looking pretty good to come up into 14 and 15. Okay, the buy volume was there. There was liquidity underneath it. They traded through these guys at 10 here. And then we saw this liquidity underneath here. And we found more buyers here. So we're looking for that 14 and 15. And then this person comes in and just disrupts it. Anyway, that's what happened on this little area here. Oh, it was 1855 total. Okay, thanks, Michael. Kevin, how do I know if he cancels or not? Yeah, this is a great question. And I'm just fascinated still. We've had this stops and icebergs for a while now. The iceberg detector, we know precisely when, if we zoom in here, it depends on your settings that you have, but we can see here the D and then the 55. The D means this is when it was detected. The iceberg was detected. Okay, and then the and 55 transacted there on the offer, right, or their iceberg, and then here the next transactions was 202 and then 88. Okay, so and on and on and on. So we know that these are just transactions, and we know that iceberg is still in the order book and still getting filled, right? Now we also know if they pull that iceberg from the market, and that's what they did here. Okay, they canceled. We also know if it's fully executed or not, and if it's executed, you'll see an E. If it's canceled, you'll see a C. Right, so it's in the settings here in the stops and icebergs, and if you open it up here, it's in these settings in here. Show the detection icons, okay, and show the calculate the executed and partially executed in here. Show the cancellation. If we don't show cancellation, it's not there any longer, etc. Right, so anyway, play around with the settings in here to get what you want. You can see I have them all on here, and that's for the demo purposes. All right. Okay, down to VWAP and some buying off of that. Another thing to look at here, we've seen this so many times. We kind of hinted to it. When looking for that strong move, the market pulling away from a specific area, what we're looking for is strong, consistent volume all the way through, like this or like this. And this was, like I said, disrupted here by this trader. Now let's take a look at this here, though. So we have some selling in here, also some selling in here. Okay, but it's here, okay, and here. Now, what I'm trying to get at is if we can get buyers above that area here, then I would be looking for them to take it back up here to this 11.5, right? Because I don't see that strong, consistent selling, moving it away from an area. So I'm looking for the other side of the range here, and then maybe up to this liquidity here. okay, or maybe this top of this range here at 11. Okay, meaning that these guys are upended, and we'll see the buyers try to squeeze them to the upside. Yeah, Jelly Bean. Yeah, play around with those settings. Also go to our knowledge base. Go to help and our user guide here. I'll show you that. Then under, this is our general user guide, go to the add-ons section. So this is the user guide. Here's the add-on section. And then you can look at stops and icebergs here and here. Here's the on-chart one here. I'll put this link into YouTube for you so you can read through these in here. Okay, and that should help you. There you go. Yeah, Michael, when you see that kind of behavior, like like this is the fourth time you've seen this morning of a larger player behaving like that, then you can kind of more likely than not it's going to continue. You likely see it again. I mean, how many over the years we had these webinars when we look for that? It's like, okay, well, he dumped, he's likely going to dump again. And we look for it. Or another one was like some of these top edges up in here, like weak tops, and continued to buy up in these areas in here, and then we're just looking for it to pop. And what does it do? It comes back, not enough buyers to take it through, and then the sellers come in, trade it back down below the range here. It rejects, does a V bottom, comes right back up here, and then breaks out. And a lot of times we just see that behavior occur again and again and again, especially in the ES. And then when we did, we would look for it, anticipate that behavior, and then look for not buying or not looking for it to break out at that time, and then maybe even looking for setting some orders down into lower range. Anyway, guys, it's going to be it's kind of dismal day here. I don't know if a lot of people are trading, and some back and forth in here is kind of anticipated today. Nonetheless, we'll just read the order flow. Yeah, Joe, I think that kind of, this answers your question about these kind of dumps like that, out of the blue like that. And if that's the condition, then that's something to be aware of. Take your profits along the way. Either that, Joe, or the opposite. Look for a bigger move, and widen your stops out and trade less. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, but it's only a few points. Like maybe 3 points max. Maybe 4, yeah. All right, so now look at our point of control and VWAP are aligned at the same price level, basically. All right, well, let's go through an exercise. So, and we'll assume. All right, so let's just put our concept to the test here. Okay, we're right in VWAP. So what we're looking for is volume to trade outside of VWAP. Okay, well here's some buyers. All right, well there's the initial impulse move. Now can it trade back up here and get more buyers? Let's see. And then if we do, they should be able to come back up into here, maybe top of the range here at 09 and a quarter. Okay, see the volume here? We need more buyers in here, and we don't want to see sellers in here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now see them moving it away. Now they're up into our area here already. Okay, the next area would be our liquidity up here at 10. Okay, I would look for it. I would look for it still. The buyers are still moving here. They still have momentum behind it. There we go. All right, so now are they still buying? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Okay, well, let's see them move it up to 11 and a half. Okay, so we kind of caught that one just in time. So good timing on that to be able to demo this, because we're right back down into that value area here. This is what it takes to move it away. And now what we want to see is what Gene over the Algo Boys talks about, the transition of orders from one to the other. And do we see that yet? No. So what we're talking about is when is this kind of change going to occur here? Okay, well, we don't see sellers come in yet, so we're still buyers here basically. Okay, now we're starting to see a little bit of it. Here's the exchange of hands in here. Okay, it's trading into higher liquidity up here. So, you know, like we have some limit sell orders up here. Okay, we have a little bit of, not much of an iceberg. We also have to be very aware of that larger player, right? This is about 4 points, who might come in here and just dump. Okay, so take some partial profits, you know, on something like that. That's one way to counter it. The other way to counter it is like, heck, you might even want to place another, you know, maybe even exit entirely, look for the next, or even set some orders down here for him to fill you. Okay, so more buyers. So see how that helped us stay in this trade. Okay, was that we just didn't see the exchange of hands yet, right? We're starting to now though. Okay, they're starting to trade into this higher liquidity, right? So we can start to look for it. Now here's our player. He's coming back in again. Okay, just almost on cue. Almost on cue. Okay, but we started to see this, you know, exchange. Now we didn't see it in here yet. Now this we never know when that larger player can come in. He could have come in at any point. Right, but and we start to see some of it trade up here again. Let's go back and let's take a look at that player. Okay, so and let's see if we can gather something from it. Okay, he's probably looking for some absorption up here, or some of these limit orders to fill in here. And we see a little bit in here, not a whole lot though. And then no, not really. We never traded up here, and then he just came in. Okay, a little too many stops here to take a look at. Let's put on the automated stops and automated. Oh, we already got it on. Okay, for icebergs. That looks better. Okay, now in this case here, here's our gap fill. You know, here's that quick move, and just kind of came back up and auctioned back up here. Now, do we see it auction up here at 12? Starting to. I'd be very careful up here. I mean, I'm looking for it to pop, but in terms of a position, I don't like it. This just there's too much dark area in here, and that larger player can get it filled or sweep the order book down to this '09 area here, right? But as long as we're just reading the order flow in here, yeah, we're back to we're looking at 14 again. Let's look at our candlestick higher time frame. Didn't I put a custom look back in here? Oh, I put it in the wrong area. Maybe. Whatever. No, there it is, to and from. Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. All right, I guess that didn't work. All right, there we go. That looks better. So now we have a little more reference in here. Yeah, boy, I would say like if we can see some volume up here around this 12 or 13 area here, then it's pretty clear sailing on up. So we'll see if we can get that. No, we're not. Well, we're looking at lower time frames in here, M, but this can be applied to all time frames. We're not really scalping, but we are looking at lower time frames. But we're really just reading the orders, or we're reading the order book, we're reading the volume, and we're reading the price structure. Okay, so 3 different things in here, and that's it, really. So we're looking for that around any sorts of levels here, no matter what you're trading. So for example, right now, look at this kind of 12.5 level up here. Okay, so what we want to see up in here for this to break out. Okay, now this could be for any time frame, like I said, and we just need to see it auctioning up here with buyers at the top edge here, and we don't want to see liquidity in this area here. We want to see it up above, and we want to see the order book stacked on the bid down here, and the reaction to it is aggressive buyers. If we can get that in here in that scenario, and we know what it looks like, then we'll get our move up higher. Okay, so it's starting to unfold here, I just don't see a whole lot of buyers right now. But that's what we're looking for, is some buyers to auction out up here. Okay, now we want, the more it auctions, the easier it is to read it. Okay, the more that we see buyers up at this top edge here, the easier it is to understand. The more that we see them pull liquidity up here and add down here on the bid, the easier it is to read it. Okay, and again, that might be for, well, in this case it would be a little bit higher time frame, but it can be for any time frame. Okay, you will even see the same phenomena happen on a daily or monthly chart. It does not matter. Okay, in fact, we saw it here on the daily a week or two ago, and we're looking for, I was anticipating sellers up here on this daily chart. Let me just widen this out. Okay, up in this area here, and we just didn't. It closed up here for the day, and then the next day we saw a lot of buying in here. Great. Okay, well, I'm looking for the next wicks up in here. Okay, either point of control or the wicks, other side of the range, and that's where it went. Okay, so on a higher time frame, that was an easy read, I thought. Okay, so if we don't see that in here, and we see that a lack of buyers and some sellers maybe, then we're not looking for it to continue like that. And it's the same thing here, right? Okay, so here's our move up into 14. Okay, we finally got up there. And now this is an interesting move. Let's go back and look at our candlesticks again. All right, so we were looking at this little area up in here, and that's where price is. God, something's wrong with this chart. I don't know. It's just not showing it. I guess if I maybe play around with the minutes. No, I'm just not having luck with this chart. Yeah, anyway, we're up here. Here it is. Here's price, right? So this is where it's easy for price to move up higher now. There's nothing really holding it here. There's no kind of back and forth in here. It can just easily kind of float back up into this area. It could come up to 22. Could come up into 25, or even fill the gap up here at 30, right? So anyway, that's what I'd be looking for. Now see, look at them bidding here at a higher level. That's good. Is it selling or buying up here? Yeah. Okay, I'm looking for these guys here at 15 to transact or pull. Maybe they pull from the book. We'll see. Okay, and then our 18 levels up here again. Okay, which we identified earlier. All right, so anyway, that's a way to kind of start to look at some of these edges at the top and at the bottom. And what we talked about here was a move back into the middle here, and we had VWAP and point of control, okay, aligned here. I mean, they're almost at the same price level, and we started to see the buyers pull it away from that area. Okay, we saw it in real time, and then we started to look for it to trade back up into areas of high liquidity. Okay, and we thought this would be probably the first one up here, which looks good at 10, and they pulled, so it kind of traded through. Our big player came in and swept the order book, but price came back up, filled it, and then we have more buyers here again, still looking for it to go higher. We got up to 14. Okay, and then that leaves us off now. We just traded 15, and we still see more buyers. And now watch out for our trader now, right? That order book's sweep down into maybe 12.5. Okay, we see a bit of exchange of hands here now, here and here. Okay, so we want to be careful with this here now. Okay, so we know that is there still more buying pressure up in here? Yeah, there is, but it was a stop run, 180. Okay, still finding buyers up here. It's still it's okay. They just kind of, we want to see them up here at the top really, and we have some exhaustion here now, so sellers are going to take it back down a bit, and maybe back down to the 13 or 12 and a half here. Yeah, exhaustion is the lack of aggressor. Okay, so at a certain area. So basically here, there's just, we see a little bit of buying here, and then it retested back up here. We just see the best offer up here, and we don't see any transactions. Okay, instead we do see some sellers here at the bottom edge here. So, and we do see sellers down here as well. So we're kind of looking for it to trade back down to maybe this 13 area here, right? Because of the lack of buying here and sellers coming in. Okay, so that's how you can read that. And now we have a few things in here though, and this is again about context, and understanding that context was the transition from buyers to sellers. Okay, there's sellers in here, here, and here. And do we see more buyers coming back in? And we saw some exhaustion here, and we saw sellers come back in here. So now we're looking for a transition again from sellers to buyers, and the buyers are really down here at 12 and a half. Okay, that's where the liquidity is. Okay, and we're already down at 13. Okay, and that's what we were looking for this kind of, due to this up here and due to sellers coming in here, we look for the move back down lower. We have a glossary page as well you might want to take a look at. Go over some of the terminology in here. I don't think it's here. I know it's in our user guide. Yeah, we've got it here. So just go to our user guide, and then bookmap.com/knowledge base, and it'll take you in here. And we can look up our glossary. It's in here. Here it is, down at the bottom under number 10 and help. Click on glossary, and yeah, you can read about some of the things in here: flipping, exhaustion, depth of market, etc. Okay. All right, so anyway, we started off talking about candlesticks and reading them with the order flow. Let's end that way as well. I think we went all the way down to the 1 minute, which is fine. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter really which time frame. So here, look at the buyers coming back in here right now. What's beautiful about Bookmap with the candlesticks is we know that there's buyers here, right? So if we get buyers again here, I'm looking for them to take it back up to maybe here, you know, kind of where the sellers came in. And we can also look at kind of the middle of this kind of range up in here, right? So that'd be a good little area, this kind of 14 or 14 3/4, 15. And here we go. And there it goes. Okay. So again, you know, understanding the volume and also this context of liquidity down here. We never traded down to these buyers here. And we went back and forth in here, but we're seeing buyers in these candles in here. So like, you know, just take a look at the volume in here. In fact, let me make it a little more transparent. It might help. Oops, wrong way. Yeah, and then let me tell, I'll just take the best bid and offer off. That might help. Okay, so here's our candlesticks and our candlesticks. So hold on, sorry guys. Let's take the VWAP off of it. Okay, I like the VWAP on it, but here's our transactions. And in fact, I'm going to take the stops and icebergs off for now as well. Okay, so here's what we're looking at here. Big bar to the downside, doji. Okay, I don't know what you call this thing, you know, the hammer or the opposite, but a big wick here, but it closed up here. Okay, now look at the volume in here though. Okay, now this one closed down here, but we noted in real time that there was buyers back up here. And we know down here, look at the selling down here in these wicks. There's not a whole lot of selling down here. There's more transactions up in here. So if we can get enough transactions in here, we'd look for it to come back up into these transactions previously, or maybe these wicks up in here. All right, makes sense. And that's exactly what it did. Okay, and it found sellers again up there though. Okay, so look at the sellers come in now. All right, so this is heavy selling. I'm looking for them to trade down lower. That's heavy selling. They're going to take this lower. Okay, we're bound to the bottom of the range. I'm looking for them to try to break it. Let's look at the liquidity now though. We need to see the liquidity. Okay, so we had our high liquidity here at 12.5. Did it transact? Yeah, kind of looks like it. Yeah. Some of it pulled. Okay, can they take it down to 11 here? Looks like they can. Looks like there's enough selling pressure in here. Let's take a look. Here's our candle, and then we see some buying in here, but we still see more selling at lower lows here. So I'm still looking for them to trade down to 11. Okay, that's the concept here. Okay, and again, that concept works on all time frames. Okay, so look at, they're even pulling down here at 11. Okay, so we can look at oh, hold on here. All right, so yeah, same concepts and same ideas in here in these candles here. There's no difference, right? I was really looking for clear sailing back up into these areas here, and you can see that well, sellers are coming back in and trading it back down into it. All right, so that's not unfolding right now. Okay, well, if that's the case, then let's see if we can get buyers at the bottom edge again down in here. And see if they can move it right back up to here. 21. Okay. And I don't see it. I just see more selling. Still just see more selling here. Okay, so European close, guys. Anyway, that's kind of where we are. And it's time to get going here. So let's see, Michael, you're talking about be great if we had two VWAPs in Bookmap. Yeah, you can reset your VWAPs. You can only have one though. Yeah. Yeah, there's others that are looking for multiple VWAPs as well for the resets. I'll pass it on, Michael. Anyway, look at this 1 minute candle here. Let's just take a quick look and we'll end on this here. So we saw the heavy selling coming in here, then a pause, and then heavy selling again. And we saw more selling down here. I'm surprised that look at the buyers just kind of snap it back. And this is what we talk about in terms of the trap volume. Here come the buyers. Where are they going to move it? I would assume that they're going to move it right back to here, 13.5. Okay, based on the heavy selling that came in right around 13.5. If there's enough buying, then they're going to take it back up to 14.75 or 15. Okay, it's just looking at these scenarios in here, these likely areas, and then the transactions and the liquidity around them to give us insight. Yeah, EU holiday, bank holidays today. Yeah, I saw that coup. Yeah, and so yeah, we're not seeing a whole lot. We went over a few nice things, and start to put the pieces together here. It's just sometimes it really hits you over the head, and it's very easy to read, and then we look for the follow through on that. Other times like today, well, we saw a few like that today, but a lot of these were it's like, it looks okay. We would still look for it to go up or, continue on lower or whatever. And we had our reasons for it. But when it really, looks good, it really hits you over the head. This was the best thing that we saw here today, I think, was this hit down into the average or the mean kind of down here, which is defined by the VWAP and the point of control, but the reaction was buyers in here. Okay, so we're looking for the move back up to here, then back up to here, and then we saw still more buying, so we're looking for this liquidity up into here. And then we mentioned about, well, if we can start to get back up here above 14, then there's some clear sailing for it to come back up into these areas up here, 18, 20 on the hourly, much higher, 24, etc. Okay, so continue to look for some of these things, and see if you can get jump on some of these moves and manage your risk properly at some of these edges here, and look for the follow through. If it doesn't happen, and the order flow is saying something else, then it's giving you good reason to cut the trade. That's another just beautiful thing in here, in understanding this context between buyers and sellers. If it's not working out, just cut the trade. Okay, this is something Jay Trader talks about all the time. You can't look at Forex in here. You can look at the commodity, the currency futures though. Okay, so here we've got the euro dollar. Okay, you're looking for SPY to fill the gap. All right, let's take a look here. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of selling in here in SPY as well. So yeah, anyway, the euro dollar, let's go back to that. You know, there's different players in these different markets. Like, see these striations in here? Well, you know, these are larger players. You can see their liquidity in here. Here's that larger player. See the large lot tracker? You can see it right here. See this one line in here? That's a larger player who's probably got oh, I don't know, it looks like around 20 contracts at each of these levels here. Okay, so at every you know, 4 ticks or so here. Okay, and they're in here, and so the behavior is a little different, but each market's a little different. All right, so another great thing to look at is the correlated markets. Look at your dollar or euro dollar compared to stock indexes, or maybe crude oil, or you know, whatever it is, and start to understand some of the correlated markets. Anyway, guys, let's wrap it up. If you like this, please hit the like button. That really helps us. Any comments on what would you like more for maybe tomorrow? Would you like to see more on kind of candlesticks and reading, or would you like to look at you know, we're talking more about maybe patterns or ranges, or you know, let me you know, if you have any ideas for some themes, you can just follow up also in the comments in here, we can look for some of those, covering some of that stuff tomorrow. All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, thanks everybody, and we will catch up with you tomorrow. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.